Welcome to The Sting of Time, episode 19. I am, as always, Leeloo. You are, as always, Oskar.
Yes, that's me.
I think I used up about all of my energy, deposits, reserves with that intro. How,
Uh,
how how has your morning been? We're doing this extremely early, which is a great start.
uh, it's been pretty bad because it was spent watching Scorpion King for the 19th time. I usually Mondays can be taxing enough. They don't have to be immediately, but it might be good, I guess,
Get it out
to
of the
kind of
way.
get it out of the way. But it was a bit earlier than maybe I was used to, but we made it. We did it. So yeah,
Mm.
it's been a Scorpion kind of morning
I
in this dance.
about I don't know Wednesday maybe. I Wednesday night, I think. Maybe it was Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I had a fever and I felt like shit. And then I was sick, and I might have had COVID, a
Big
pretty,
C.
somewhat mild case of COVID. Then I guess, but I've been pretty alright. I'm hearing myself in your headset again, and today I decided I was cured of the ailment, and I started my
Congratulations.
morning with a cup of black coffee, and then I lifted some weights, and I think I almost died afterwards. I had to lie on the floor after my set, and I thought maybe I'll
After
throw
watching the
up.
Scorpion King.
Maybe I'll throw up now. I didn't, but I thought about it. It was somewhat close. Might have been like here.
Came to a vote.
Uh, I don't think I've ever thrown up only black coffee. Oh, look, I left an imprint. I have this thing called what's it called? It's called
Coffee.
no, it has a pretty cool name. Uh, dermatographia, where you can draw on your skin. Like if I scratch
Okay.
myself here, it's gonna be it's a red line gonna be there in a
It's
little
like
bit.
memory foam.
Yes, exactly. My skin is like memory foam. But yeah,
Ah,
instantly. See, here's the red line, thin red line. Decided to watch Scorpion King. Felt like a good
yes.
thing. It couldn't get any worse, and then it
No, I guess it couldn't.
got worse.
uh, and today's Scorpion King was the oft skipped, finally realized kill count
Yes.
viewing. So after some debate, we settled on watching Scorpion King, paying attention to how many people meet their end at Matthias's hand throughout the movie, and we believe that we have uh, now accrued a relatively accurate figure when
Yeah.
it comes to said
Maybe I
count.
can draw out the number here in the end, and I'll have a.
Uh, you can do that. It would be really weird, but you can
I
you
can. I
can do it.
have that ability. It's like my
Yes,
X Men thing.
exactly.
I have poor skin. I have written it down in one of my illustrious self-created notebooks I have. This is the newest one.
Yes,
Maybe I
like
should.
the
Maybe
newest
this is
one is good.
the first time you have seen the. Here's the contents.
Yes, I've seen the outside, but I haven't seen the inside.
I haven't actually filled anything in, but this is the
Ah,
contents.
yes, that's the scroll.
Yes,
The scrolls of law.
scroll of content. It has a number of different sort of
Ah, yes, the different colored
different
papers.
colored and different textured papers. But I've written it down in one of the. This one houses a lot of Scorpion Kings, Scorpion King things.
Scorpion thinkings.
You did it. Did you? You also did it by hand.
Yes, but I wrote it in a very rudimentary,
Mm,
regular
yes.
block.
I've actually maybe I can show some of this without spoiling. So, oh, that's hard to see. I've written like I've drawn people, so I have it visually denotated as people, just to like hammer it home.
That's how people do it.
There is also before maybe we don't really have to go through it scene by scene here, but the number is 57.
Yes, 57,
Uh,
5 and 7.
5 and 7, and there are 7 possible disputes
Mm.
here. 2 of them come early and then somewhat late for the other ones.
Yeah, the two earliest ones were during the prologue, where a lot of people die die by Dwayne. But there are 2 people specifically who it seems unclear whether or not they actually get fatally murdered by Dwayne.
Yeah.
Are you
No,
okay?
I tried to do it, but I don't think I can write.
Try to stay in your skin.
Yes, a guy gets hit in the face with a bow, and then another guy sort of gets punched and has a weird like table flipped on him.
Yeah, a lot of wrestling stuff going on in the prologue.
Yes, but presumably they die because the place burns down. And
Yeah, exactly.
I
We
think,
said that.
I mean, the bow it is so hard to pull that an average, or not average, but a pretty athletic man cannot pull it.
Yeah.
Only Dwayne can do it, and he pulls it on the back of the guy's neck, and it releases into their face. So I think that guy's head is just crushed. The skull is crushed. So that guy, I think, for me, that's not a dispute. I think that one goes through, and I think I can also accept the table guy dying.
I think they're all dead.
Yeah.
Kill them all.
I think another big one is in the end fight where
Yes.
Matthias
Exactly.
throws like a brazier, like it's like I don't know, a pole that holds
Yeah.
brazier.
Yeah, brazier.
A brazier is something else.
Yeah,
That's
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 something else.
A brazier on 4 guys. And the movie, I think we've talked about this
We've
in the
talked
past,
about it many times.
how the movie sort of, it feels like they're dead. It treats it like they're dead.
Yeah, because you get this like very impactful like slow motion shot above them, like obviously out of commission, but not particularly like it shows them being knocked out, but more like
Instantly kills them.
yeah, it kind of just treats it like you would have treated it if they were let's say they were shot with arrows or something,
Yeah,
like, or that's that same kind of death thing
exactly.
going on. But it looks really weird because you wouldn't die from having that thrown at you,
No,
especially if you catch it with 3 other dudes. So
exactly. You probably wouldn't even get knocked down.
yeah, but for they definitely don't show up again. So
No,
I guess they died. So we've treated it as such.
yeah. I think that one is also non-dispute for me.
Yeah,
I
and
think,
even if they didn't die, they definitely died when the entire thing went up in flames
yeah.
later. So
I think the only real one where we might actually disagree is in the sand cave,
yeah,
where one guy walks in and he falls or sinks to his death in quicksand, and which we both agree that is definitely on Dwayne because he leads
yeah,
them in there. But then Thorak motions for the other guy to go ahead, and he dies. And
yeah.
I feel like that's on Thorak, even though I mean I understand that Dwayne has put them all in that situation, but
Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Uh, I understand like your reasoning, but to me, I feel like every death in the cave is on Dwayne, no matter, because it's like how should I put it? Uh, I guess it's kind of like this thing, an extension of this thing where like once you sign up to be a soldier, you're already dead, or something like that. Where the second they enter the cave, their lives are wholly on Dwayne's head. I feel like, and like it doesn't matter if it's Forak who says go here or do that or whatever. Uh, it's just because I don't feel like you could also argue that Forak, while obviously being ruthless and not caring about his men's lives and that sort of thing, he when he sends him like sends the other guy like walking, it's more of a, you could treat it like he's not sure that he's gonna go down a second time. Maybe the sand trap was a one off
Yeah, sure.
or something like that.
I
So
think you can read it like that, but I don't think that nullifies his responsibility. Like uh, if you, me, Frederick, and Marcus were, I don't know, out and about.
out in a sand cave.
Yeah, no, just out and about, and
Okay.
I stabbed Frederick to death. I just I went for it. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I finally
Yes.
did it. And then I ran off, and you guys followed me. And I ran into traffic, and Marcus ran into traffic and died. And okay, so Emil is with you as well. I have to add it for
Okay.
Emil is
The body count is good.
Marcus is dead. That's probably on me, sort of. Yeah, it is on me. And then Emil is like, "Oh, we shouldn't go into traffic," and you're like, "If you don't go into traffic, Emil, I'm gonna fuck you up." And he runs into traffic after me and dies. Is that on me?
Yes, because you killed you killed my brother.
I think I'm partially responsible for the situation, of course, but I think you're.
Well,
I think you
I,
can't go,
I
"Oh my God, Leeloo killed Emil as well."
I would definitely put Emil's life on you, because I know that Emil would walk into traffic for me if I asked him to, 100%, especially for such a noble cause as avenging my brother's death. So I'm sorry. You have not convinced me.
Well, I've
I will,
convinced myself, I guess. So I'm gonna say
and
my count,
I'll send anyone into traffic
and I'll
after you
put it
and
on
blame
you.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's how it will be.
To me, I think my final count is probably 56, because I don't think I can reconcile
The sand.
the second sand trap, but still a pretty hefty number. 2 snakes as
Yes.
well, 56 or
Yeah,
57
we
people,
were debating if we were gonna count the snakes,
and
and
2
also
snakes.
went down a similar morbid discussion about
Yeah.
killing people. So, but yeah, we decided that snakes are not people.
No, they're not.
After some debate.
They're pretty cool, but they're not people.
Yeah. But yeah, Dwayne kills a lot of people in the movie.
It's actually a pretty crazy amount of people.
Yes.
I had some stuff because I've written it down, as I said, in scene. Well, in scene order. It's here. And I noticed a couple of things. So first off, in this, because I've given them names here. So in the Snowy Realms, he kills 13 people. Then in Memnon's camp, he kills 13 people. Then in Memnon's palace, he kills 3. And then in the cave, 13 people.
Lucky number.
And then it's 4, 10, 1, so it sort of falls apart a bit. But it's a really high number. And if you take, I was about to say a contemporary to the Scorpion King, which is giving it extremely high praise, but perhaps a more noble reflection of the Scorpion King in Conan the Barbarian. I think there's like maybe Conan kills 20 something people.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I've ever in this matter like done a kill count in Conan, but I definitely feel like more people die in this movie compared to Conan. But Conan, it seems like partially because Conan is a less violent movie than Scorpion King, in my opinion. But it's also, the conflicts in Conan are, it feels like there's a smaller scale involve, less
Mm.
total fighters or whatever most of the time compared to Scorpion King, where it's
Yeah.
just wave after wave of red, literal red shirts running into swords.
Yeah, it kind
So
of treats as much as this might be overselling Conan. I think Conan is a great movie, but
yeah,
uh, I still think it treats death with a little bit more gravitas than Scorpion
yeah,
King, which is sort of it kind of flip flops between because we talked about if we were gonna do a kill count, were we gonna do a kill count for everybody? Like how
mm,
many people die in the entire movie? Because that's way more than 56 or 7. And in the beginning shot of the movie, or well, the mythological explanatory sequence
yeah,
of
the
Memnon,
exposition.
Memnon orders the death of a lot of people.
Yeah,
But maybe he orders the death of less people than Matthias kills in the movie.
exactly. Then that's an interesting thing.
And he directly kills those people, not indirectly.
I was gonna say when it comes to Conan and like the gravitas of death or whatever you'd call it. I feel like Conan also, and I mean one of the reasons why we evoke Conan so much while watching this is because this is a movie that frequently gets compared to Conan the Barbarian.
Mm. I mean, it is
When
ostensibly a sword and sorcery movie.
yes, exactly,
So,
and in these lands, we hold Conan the Barbarian in very high esteem as a cinematic work, uh, and it's a much better movie than Scorpion King by a mile. But it's also interesting how you say that because when it comes to like when people get killed in Conan, obviously it has a higher rating than Scorpion King, so there's more like gore and
yeah.
blood and like
More
decapitation.
viscera and
Ex- ex-
vitae.
ex- exactly, but and that sort of, but it's not really gratuitous in Conan. It feels more like when it happens, like that one scene in Conan where he chops like a guy, not in half, but really
Yeah.
chops him
Schnorp
up,
him.
uh, and then it just kind of moves on from that. It's not like a bunch of Mortal Kombat like screaming, and
Mm.
it's just like he has died, and it's very
It feels like
abrupt,
it's trying to portray it in a
like in an ugly manner.
yeah
Like it's
fantastical but somewhat realistic manner,
yeah,
even though it
like
obviously isn't.
this isn't a dance. It's just people,
Yeah, it's a bit
chopping at each
macabre,
other.
It's like
Exactly.
I think about
It is.
the snake scene as well,
Mm.
in how ugly the fight with the snake is.
Yeah, and especially when he kills the
Yeah,
snake.
and
Oh
it isn't sort of played as heroic, and it
no.
becomes sort of heroic afterwards.
Yeah,
But even
like in
like at that point, you don't even really know anything about the cult. Like
no.
you just have a snake, and obviously they're not nice people, but it's just like it's a snake, and he just
Yeah,
fucking
and
chops
I
it up.
mean, on the topic of the snake as well. This is Conan staying now, by the way, to all our viewers. Uh, it's funny because uh, when he kills the snake, you don't really see it as heroic. It's like it's just this frantic struggle for
Yeah,
survival, getting put into this bizarre situation, that sort of thing. And then when he's captured by Doom, and you get the famous, you killed my snake. Fargrim is beside himself with grief, and all that sort of stuff, and the calling down the girl from the rafters to kill herself and all that sort of stuff, like that scene, even though it's supposed to convey like look how deranged the cult and Doom and all that is. It shows that Doom is someone who cares for like while he may not care for his human subjects in that manner, he cares about he cares about the reverence he gets, and he also cares about the snake. he is legitimately, you know, upset over the snake dying,
Hmm.
and so on.
But again,
While he's
I mean, he is upset also for someone else.
yeah, he's upset for Grim,
Yeah,
you
so
know.
I mean, he is somewhat caring of another
Yeah,
human being.
and I mean that's the kind of thing that you'd never see. You would never see this kind of like might be a stretch called that, or well, not really. Like this glimpse of character is something that you never see in Scorpion King. Like you don't know anything about Memnon. Memnon is barely a character, like in the movie.
Mm.
Like he is just Memnon, the warrior who likes to catch arrows and chop people up and be king, I guess.
Mm.
You don't know about like the history of Memnon, like what are his motivations for
Well, he wants
like
order.
yeah,
He
but
doesn't
that's
like he
true.
doesn't
That's true.
like
Actually,
chaos.
yeah,
He's
exactly. He talks
um
about how you know
he
the means to
wants
an end
yeah,
to bring
exactly.
order.
He wants
Exactly,
to create an order that will last. He
1,000 years.
Yes, he values that. He sees himself as a means to an end, like the
Yeah,
wars and it's. I think the movie, at least, I buy that he believes
mm,
that himself, and that he's obviously, power corrupts ultimately, and
yeah,
he probably wouldn't be able to stop, but he wants to, and he obviously loves the sorceress a bit,
yeah.
but he
I was
sees
gonna
her as a
say,
thing.
I mentioned this when we were watching about. Who cares what I said about it? But I said something like, "Oh, I think I'm falling into the trap of trying to improve the movie with good uh, movie think or whatever." But it's interesting how I think Memnon as a character would be. It would be a lot cooler if in scenes where you see Memnon like in his throne room or like in the courtyard where Dwayne's gonna snipe him from the etc. You see him, is surrounded by like servant girls and eating the fruit and like it's so nice to be king and so on. I was thinking a little bit, this watch that it would be cool if Memnon was shown more to not care about the luxury of being royalty or whatever, and that would play more into his I want to bring order, it's a means to an
Hmm.
end.
But
And so
but
but he's obviously enjoying his position and
yes,
that sort of thing, which I mean, I'm not saying it's not in line with the character. I'm saying that the character would be more interesting and make the movie more of a it would play better, I think, more with at least how I perceive it. Like, is Matthias actually, heroic at all in this movie, and that sort of thing? If it was, both were alike on the different sides of neutrality or whatever.
hmm. Yeah, sure. It would
But
probably be
that's
more
not the case.
interesting, but I don't think it would, like, unless you changed a whole lot with the movie, I don't think that
Yeah,
would
but
work.
that's what I mean. That's why I said that during the watch. That it's useless to think like this because the movies that's not the movies. But that's that's just one of the things that happens when you watch a movie 19 times. You gotta try to do something with it.
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
I guess I think Memnon, to me, Memnon is probably one of the least flawed aspects, like large
yeah,
aspects of this movie. I think he works as a villain.
yeah. I mean, we talked before about how Memnon is one of the better parts of the
Yeah.
movie, despite this. So
Um, and I think he's generally decently acted as well. He doesn't
mm.
get a lot of
Yeah,
material, but
I think the actor is doing a good job with Memnon, both
um,
like the physical aspects, but also the talky
also the
aspects.
metaphysical aspects of
Exactly,
Memnon.
the quantum aspects.
Uh, I still
Uh,
think he comes off as a bit of a moron he because of his over reliance on the sorceress, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems a bit vague. As why does he really need the sorceress at this
Yeah,
point?
I've thought about it a bit. Like it might imply that Memnon is a great fighter, but he's actually a really shitty commander,
Yeah, bad
or like
tactician.
yeah, exactly, a bad tactician, and he is carried like tactically by the sorcerer's cheat codes, and then he just builds like the rest of it on his personal charisma slash fighting ability,
Hmm.
and so on. Uh,
Sure. I guess I just think that's a sort of weak part. I think that
yeah,
well, whatever. I don't really want to talk about,
yeah,
as you
we'll
said,
get
the
to shit.
way things you could do to make the movie more reasonable because there are so many, and I don't know, it comes up a lot, and it's kind of. I think we at this
Yeah,
point we've probably rewritten the movie 8 times if you piece together the crumb trail, the
yeah,
conversations. You mentioned something when we were watching
yeah.
about how do I think
I was kind of wishing
Dwayne.
I had talked about that instead of Memnon, but whatever. But it kind of plays into this whole Conan thing because I asked you just like offhand if do you think Dwayne is a good actor, like a legit question, that sort of thing, and that doesn't really matter that much. But the reason I asked was
I
because
said no.
yeah,
Ostensibly, I
yeah,
said
yeah, yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Don't leave that out. You said no, uh,
I wanted to
but
put that out there so people don't
exactly. That's fair.
presume.
Uh, and but the reason I asked was because I've been thinking a lot about like when you read about Dwayne, especially like read about Scorpion King, which I sadly do from time to time. Uh, Aside from just being compared to Conan, obviously Dwayne gets compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger a lot.
Hmm.
Not just because breakthrough role in Sword and Sorcery movie, goes on to become like super most famous whatever action star of his of the respective times and so on. And I've been thinking about it quite a bit, and because I think Arnold is a great actor. I probably think I've seen basically every Arnold movie, even like the boring ones like Maggie and Aftermath, and like the non-action Arnold movies.
Okay, so you
And
think Arnold is? Wait, do you think he's an objectively good actor, a great actor?
well, I was gonna say that in comparison, because I was trying to think. Yeah, obviously I haven't seen every movie Dwayne has been in. But I was thinking like when it comes to range and stuff, and like the kind of movies that Arnold has done over his career, and
Can you
I
give
started.
me just like give me Arnold's range? Give me where does it start? What kind of role does it start
Well,
in? And what? Because I have a theory here I'm gonna get to, but like, can you give me the span? Can you give me the range?
you're setting it up like it's a joke now.
No, no, I'm asking you because I think it's
Yeah, well,
interesting.
okay, because I think Arnold has a pretty good range
Yes, sure,
because
you said that, but I'm asking
yeah,
about the. Can you give me the range?
yeah, the range is he started out with action movies. It doesn't have a lot of lines in Conan overall for a lead, and then he has done like stuff like Predator where he has more lines, but still kind of muscly action, whatever, that sort of thing. Then he breaks into comedy, which is like oh, now Arnold is doing these comedy movies. He did that fucking Junior movie, which is and so on, and then from there, kind of goes back action movies, like action comedy movies, and then now when he's older, he's done like this really, tragic drama style movies, like Mag and so on. And I think those movies are good. I think he does good in them. So
Hmm.
I was thinking a bit like, how has Dwayne done any drama style movies? I don't know what Dwayne has done, and because I was starting a bit to buy into the whole Dwayne is just Arnold again, or whatever
Hmm.
that people keep calling it all the time. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it basically.
Okay. So I I don't think Arnold is an objectively good actor. I would
And
probably
that's fine.
no, no, sure, you can think what you want to. I just don't. I don't. I don't buy the whole range thing. To me, Arnold is, I think, in a lot of ways, exactly the same as Dwayne.
Mm,
In that they're both great physical actors. I said this when you asked me if Dwayne was a good actor. Dwayne, I think, pretty obviously does very well in stuff like wrestling, where you're like playing this really big character in what is basically an action scene, and you can do like sort of like oversized character monologues and things like that. But the thing I realized with Dwayne, seeing interviews with Dwayne, seeing well, yeah, like stuff where he's Dwayne, where he's not like a character.
yeah.
Or you could argue that he is still a character, but that kind of thing. I think Dwayne is pretty much always the same guy.
Mm,
Even when he's Dwayne, when he shows up to something, he's still the same. He is pretty much the same aura. Maybe he can be a little bit more subdued or a little bit more over the top, but he's the same guy. And I think that goes for Arnold as well. To me, Arnold is pretty much always Arnold. I just think Arnold,
he's playing Arnold in every movie ever.
yeah, but Arnold is just way more sympathetic to me as a character. And I think partially, I think the accent helps because he comes off as, even when he's like in Pumping Iron, when Arnold is like, he's the villain.
Yeah.
Arnold is the villain of Pumping Iron. People who watch, because like, uh, what is it? The dramaturgical curve. What the fuck is the English for this? But like the scene structure and how it's shot. Pumping Iron, he's literally shot as the villain,
Yeah.
and Lou is the hero. But you watch that movie and you root for Arnold, even though he's like an asshole.
Yeah, but I mean that's a lot of media. A lot of media is like that. Like a lot of stories have you rooting for the
Yeah, but
villain.
yeah, sure. But love stories are made for you to do that. But I don't think Pumping Iron is made for that. I think it's made for Arnold as the villain, and then it's sort of the movie sort of
Yeah,
had to
sure.
become a certain way. But yeah, so I think to me Arnold is just a more sympathetic version of Dwayne in that there are some qualities to him, some that are objective and you can point out, like I think his voice and I don't know, his overall sort of body language and demeanor is a little bit less, it feels a little bit less sort of flamboyant and self aggrandizing,
Mm,
which I just think makes him a lot more sympathetic. And then again, like a lot of movies he's in are better, I think, to me. They're better directed and better shot.
yeah, yeah. Of course,
So that
movies
helps
are
as well.
just not just the lead.
But I think for me, their acting is the same. I mean,
Yeah.
Dwayne is in a lot of
Well,
comedies as well.
yeah. Sure. Like I said, I haven't watched a lot of Dwayne movies, but I think like one of the things that really made me think about it a lot because I've had a lot of like Conan on my mind lately, is that of course they're you can't get away from it. You know that these are different movies, no matter if what people like they superficially lump them together because of whatever reasons and so on. But I keep thinking about like how there is so in comparison to Scorpion King, like or rather to Conan, you can take like in Conan, there's a lot of scenes where which show Arnold being or Conan, I should say rather, which show Conan being like contemplative. He's sitting like in the end scene on the stairs where he's just kind of sitting thinking about what he's done up to this point in the story and what he's gonna do now. There's a lot of like Conan when he's training with his sword. Like there's a lot more you get a feel for this is someone who exists in this world. Like there's a lot
I
more like
wouldn't
stuff.
contribute that primarily to Arnold's acting, though. I would say that's
Well,
a
sure,
directing and scripting
yeah, sure,
thing.
that's fine. But I was thinking, like I said, this is just it's in comparison of the movies and so on. But that's how I guess what it boils down to is that I don't like it when people compare The Scorpion King to one of my favorite movies of all time because
No,
they're
I
not
buy
alike.
that. I buy that. They're
They're
not
not
the
alike
same.
at all. And
Not the same movie.
then it makes me even more visibly upset when they compare, the leads as well as if they were that similar
Mm.
and so on.
But I get that. I 100% get that. There are people who are large in stature, who do action, a little bit of comedy, are superstars, known for their body, and came from a physical profession, showboating profession before doing
Yeah,
movies. Like it's
exactly.
very, very hard not to make the comparison. And I think as much as I'd like to say that, like, oh, Dwayne's no Arnold, um, I think history has probably shown that
Yeah,
he
exactly.
is an
Like
Arnold. Like it's
when you decide, which criteria are you gonna compare it on,
mm,
like, who has earned the most, who has seen their movies the most, who has the biggest house, who smoked the most stooges or whatever. It's I mean, it's hard to argue against.
yeah,
No matter how you do it. But I like Arnold more
yes.
because
I also
Dwayne looks like a sausage and doesn't sound funny when he talks.
no. I think that's gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
enough
about it.
for today. For once, we actually decided to not talk about everything before we
Yeah,
shot the podcast, which probably makes for a better podcast and a way worse viewing.
way worse viewing. Yes, the viewing was miserable.
Yes.
I hated it. Uh, Maybe we don't have any emotional states today.
I don't know. We sort of skip them from time to time
Yeah.
nowadays. Next watch, we will have been watching The Scorpion King once a week for 5 months.
Yes.
Don't watch the movie.
No, please don't.